So Metroid Prime 4 has been out a couple weeks now, and the most important thing that anybody wants to hear, just like in Metroid Prime 4, are 4 people talking that you don't care about. So welcome to this special edition of the CRUBCAST, where we're going to do just that. My name's Kevin. I'm here with my fellow co-crubber, Trav. Hello, Trav.
What's up?
And I'm here with 2 special guests. I'm going to throw it to each of you and let you guys get your pluggables out of the way first, if you would like to let people know where to find you and whatnot. Brendan, I'm going to throw it to you first, because you are completely new to the Crub sphere, so hello.
Hello. Yes, my name is Brendan. My day job is I'm an editor at GameSpot, but I also have a channel called The Crawl, which is mostly focused on dungeon crawling RPGs. But I also made a big old documentary retrospective thing about Metroid. So I'm excited to talk about this new one with y'all.
Yeah, it was a really fun one too. I watched that a while back and I really enjoyed it. And speaking of someone whose videos I enjoy, welcome back to the CRUBCAST, Wayne. Hello, Wayne.
Hi, I'm Wayne. I keep knocking my headphone out of my ear, and it's driving me crazy. Okay, I got it back.
You talk about Metroid and other things on your channel. Wayne is boss.
I tried to. It's funny. Like, my Metroid content is something that I've always insisted on making, and I think it's always performed some of the worst out of my videos. But it's also some of the most important content I've ever made, because it's it's what I've made the most amount of friends through. So I'll take it.
I feel like I could say the exact same thing about mine. That documentary, nobody watched it, but it's the most fun thing that I made, the most important thing that I made. And you and I worked on that together, a bunch of other people. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it's the people that do watch it get into it, and then they reach out and you build bridges and stuff from there. So it's still worth it. So
it's the Metroid fan base is a dedicated one, and Trav, you have a bunch of Metroid videos. I only have the one.
There's definitely something to be said about that, because the reason I even met some of our mutual friends was because of Metroid. Yeah. So there's a big community for it.
You've done charity stuff that we took part in against some call him Jonathan. You guys did a Metroid Dread race. Everyone who knows any of us knows that we talk Metroid, except for probably me, because I've only talked about Other M, actually, of all things, in that documentary I did way back when.
It was a good video.
One of my favorites that I've made, if I'm going to blow myself briefly. And speaking of blowing ourselves, we're going to blow up a new planet by talking about Metroid Prime 4. We all have kind of the same kind of conflicted thoughts overall, but Trav, I know you are the most positive of us, so I want people to be nice to us, so say nice things.
Oh boy, all right.
Or bad things. Yeah, say whatever you want, I don't care.
No bad things, or bad things. Look, I won't lie. There's definitely a part of my brain where, when the Miles stuff first came out about the game and people were talking about that, where I was like, this feels really overblown. I'm going to like it out of spite. There was definitely a factor of that where early on I was like, this guy's kind of he's kind of fun. I like him. And then it didn't really wear off until midway through the game when he kept telling me I could use the lightning chip to open more areas. That's about when that started to fade, and I'm like, this guy's really getting on my nerves. But even spite aside, which was a bit of a joke, I have a lot of problems with the game, but I'm, for the most part, okay coexisting with them. I don't think that the desert is too bad unless you're going for 100%. I don't, it's annoying. You're going from one place to the other, and then you're inevitably going to go into another spot where you don't have the upgrade yet, and you have to turn around. That sucks. I don't like that, but it's no different than when the opening of, well, it is different, but it reminded me of when Prime 3 first opens up and you can go to that other gas giant planet, and you get there and then you're like, oh, well, I need the hyper beam upgrade to be able to get through this. So oh man, what's the point of that? I guess I'll just turn around. Except this time, you spend 10 minutes driving there instead of clicking a button on a menu.
Yeah.
But overall, it still felt like Metroid. It still, I enjoyed the exploration when it was there. And then even with the new stuff, I like the new characters. I wish the villain was handled better, but when Psylocke was there, I thought he was really cool.
I'll throw one, not correction, but I'll push on you on one thing that I think you'll probably agree with. I think it feels like Metroid Prime, not necessarily like Metroid.
Yeah, and I should give that caveat. Yes, it does absolutely feel like Metroid Prime.
Yeah. which I figured is what you
especially
meant.
Prime 3. Yeah, that is what I meant. And you're right, but that clarification is important. The internet is going to take things very literally.
Yeah, this game's become a very debated, zeitgeisty sort of game, which is more than I expected out of it. I will say, for my money, I kind of had a feeling a long time ago that this was maybe how it was going to end up, as like a solid-ish game, but like not Metroid Prime. In terms of review scores and whatnot, they didn't seem confident in it in the last year or so of once we started seeing gameplay of it. It just felt like every trailer was saying a very different thing about the game, like the really funny over-explainy one, which I take that stuff in stride. I laugh at that stuff. When the Miles thing came out, I was like, of course they added a quippy sidekick. That's really funny. Like it's dumb, but it's really funny. If you can't laugh with or at a game, then what's the point of playing them? It's not all that serious. But
well, there was a big one. I want to get this off my chest before I forget it.
Yeah.
There was a big moment where I realized, like, oh, this game is going to probably not blow our socks off. It's when Nintendo Japan put out a post that was saying, you don't need to play Prime 1 through 3 to enjoy Prime 4. This is the start of a new story, which we knew. But the way that they did it, I'm like, okay, they're banking on this being the start of like a new trilogy, and this whole game is probably just going to be set up for a larger story, if anything.
Which is the biggest thing that bothered me. Wayne, I think you were about to say something similar to that point, so I'll throw it to you.
Well, it was kind of talking about the quippy sidekick thing, because Brendan, I was actually, I think I texted you when I saw like the first article go up when the previews first went live. I was driving up to go visit family, and I was at a rest stop, or a low rest area, and I texted you, and I was just like, I had to double take, because there was a part of my brain that said, they know better than to do that. You don't what? I was confused. Because that just seemed like a thing you don't do, especially for something that they seemed to know better than to show off. Like 3 weeks before the game came out.
Yeah.
Like, it felt very deliberate that they held off on showing that was an aspect of the game at all.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I think is telling.
What are your general thoughts, Wayne? And then I'll throw it to you, Brendan, and then we'll probably get into like some spoilery stuff as we go through. So, light spoiler warning once we're done with our general thoughts here. We'll get to that later. But go nuts, Wayne.
My general thoughts are weird. I tried getting into it with my own review a little bit. I think it's a good game. I think it's a good action sci-fi adventure title. I don't think it ever reaches great for me. There's a moment, I think everybody can agree, Ice Belt was a peak for that game. Like, that area is fantastic.
What? You're joking, right?
Oh, you didn't like
that was
Ice
like my
Belt?
least favorite area.
Ice Belt?
Really?
It's the least Metroidy to me in some
I guess
capacity.
revisiting it was cool.
Like that's where I
Really?
realized this wasn't the kind of game that we wanted it to be, but that's where I started playing it on its terms.
That's where I thought the game
See,
started slacking for me.
That was to me the part that felt the most Metroid Prime. So I guess it's
You
worth
have me
saying.
questioning my own credentials here, Wayne.
So I think it's worth saying that, especially Metroid and Metroid Prime, the way that this franchise has been so spread out, everyone latches on to very specific aspects of the games. So for me, something that was always super important for Metroid Prime was scanning. Scan logs, and being in the world, experiencing the atmosphere, and just sort of like getting into the setting and letting the world tell its own story. The scan logs being the way that you start to put together the lore and its history, and I kind of described it in my video as you're reading the texts of ghosts that have been left behind. You're sifting through the bones and rubble to tell what happened here before, and Ice Belt is almost nothing but that. And Ice Belt was also the first time a Metroid Prime game made me feel fear. I don't get scared in games easily.
What scared you?
It was like it wasn't so much like as fear, I guess. It was just a tension, and I think a part of it was like one mistake I think the game makes is that should have been the first time you saw a Griever. Was in the Ice Belt.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
I'll
one.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
I think that should have been the first time that they showed up, because they feel threatening there, and it's as you're putting together like what they are, because the first time you see them, you don't think anything of them. Which
it like puts that bug on a stake, and then that's it.
Yeah, which was a cool moment. I liked that. But I just thought, I got the same impression from that as I got the wolves. I love that wolf section. I love the wolf section. Takobi is probably my favorite NPC.
He's pretty great.
He wasn't until the last stretch of the game when I got to sit down with him, and I felt like I was having a hunter on hunter kind of like I don't know, there was a middle ground. I apologize, I'm taking up a lot of hot air here. I'm
just like, I'm trying not to be a dick and like push back on things. I want to let you finish your points.
No, you're good. But to me, it was just like that was when I started getting really invested in the atmosphere of this world and everything, and that was when it was just like, oh, here's all these logs of these scientists, and here's like, it was very Resident Evil, as like you're slowly seeing them start to lose resources, hope. That's when you start to see one or two of them, like their hope in the Chosen One starts to waver a little bit.
The scientist that's like, what the hell are they talking about with the Chosen One? And then by the end of it, they're like, I pray that, like, what are they, like, umami or whatever, like that guy's hope comes through.
It's interesting because, like, I think that's where I got the most, not necessarily Metroid Prime-y vibes out of it, but I would consider that the most like Zelda vibes outside of the scans, because the scans are obviously Metroid, but the Metroid Prime's never been heavy on puzzles, so I don't want to set up this false expectation that Prime has to have puzzles.
Yeah, the puzzles that are there in Metroid usually just, or Metroid Prime, they're usually just kind of like isolated to the room you're in.
Yeah, and this was where I started feeling that, especially since the opening area, not the opening area, but the first area you properly go to is Samus getting her driver's license, which is the funniest thing. Like, this is unintentionally the funniest Metroid game ever, and I will always appreciate it for that. Because there's so much tonal whiplash in this game, and I think that's really funny, even if it's not the best thing for the series. But essentially, from what you were saying, Wayne, is you kind of had it took you a while to get there, and then you started really clicking kind of on its terms, like we said a little bit earlier.
And for me, it was like, it's like, I love the quiet moments when Metroid is being a horror film. And it reminds me of that, the Ceres station in Super Metroid, or like when you first arrive on Criteria, and it's just this like low moment. It's all the build up and everything. And Icebound to me was that, just like further into the game than you usually get it. And it's like reading about how like these people were like, oh, these monsters were once this race, and they're all being transformed out of like good intentions gone awry, which is something the Metroid universe is used to. And
that was my text tone. I'm sorry.
The baby. It was like seeing, getting this kind of like idea of them in your head. It's why I wish we hadn't seen what Grievers looked like at that point. And then like, so you're getting this idea of like, oh, they're trying to bring them back from the brink of this mutation, and then they almost come back, and then they slip back into being monsters again. It's this horrifying idea. And then getting into that one room where you get like the large frozen one, and it like opens up, and the moment that sold it for me was the sound design, where there's this crazy like radio frequency going off in it, very Silent Hill-esque, where it's like this wild noise going off, and the entire time you're hearing about these grievers, and you're seeing them, and you're scanning pods, and it's just like, oh, the thing is frozen inside and it can't move, and then you get...
It reminds me, not to jump on you, but it reminds me of if they had saved that moment of the reveal of the grievers, if they had saved that, or even not necessarily if they had saved it, if they had them there prior, and then they revealed the stronger type of grievers, because this game only has like 3 enemy types. If they had revealed the good ones, then it reminds me of the feeling I would have had, or it would have given me the feeling that I did have in Dread when you first see the Metroids pop out. Like, I said, "Oh shit!" out loud. When
you mean the X? Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, the X.
The X. Yeah.
You know what
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
I
not
didn't.
the Metroids. Sorry. This game has Metroids out of nowhere too, and same thing. But yeah, the oh shit moment I had there was similar to I think what I would have felt with the Grievers if they had revealed something better there. But that kind of is emblematic of how I feel about the game. Is there's some decent ideas with poor execution and little payoff, and I don't trust this team who hasn't made a game in 12 years to succeed in making a Metroid Prime 5. I think I'll get my thoughts a little bit later because I want to get to Brendan. So what are your general thoughts? Go wherever you want to go with it. Go nuts. The floor is yours. Oh,
if I could, because sorry, I had like just a little bit more to get to. I don't want to cut you off either, Brendan. But for me, like the tension was paid off in that moment when like you get the one that's the pod opens, you get the little puzzle piece out of it, and that radio frequency is going crazy. And I was just waiting for something to come to life and jump out, and it never did. And so I was like looking around the room. I'm just like, they're really building this shit up. And I left, and as I'm going through the hallway, like a gas thing like springs out, like it's the only jump scare in the game, but it was at the perfect moment for it. Like it was so effective for me. The ice belt was just everything. It was just like this potential, and it was some of the best like build up I've seen in Metroid for a while. And also those text logs were also where I started formulating my ideas for where they were going with Silex, and my inevitable disappointment that they didn't go there, but we can get into that later. Brendan, turn it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are really similar to Wayne's, even down to the feeling that Ice Belt was the peak of the game. I also really liked the first 2/3 of Volt Forge quite a lot. I thought there was some really good environmental storytelling moments in there, with the robot arm that picks up Samus and says like, "Nah, you're not the right size. You can go over to the one that's the wheel," and then it's like, "Yeah, okay, you can go in." I just thought that was clever. That area also is just so cool visually. It felt like a Dark World version of Skytown from Metroid Prime 3, which is one of the coolest like Metroid Prime areas. And there's a lot of Metroid Prime 3 in this game, obviously. I think actually I went back and rewatched that the Game Maker's Toolkit critique of Metroid Prime 3's level design, and everything said in that video is almost like you could have swapped out Metroid Prime 3 for Prime 4, and it all maps almost exactly onto it. So
I had the exact same experience. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh,
it's really. No, really? Okay. So, and honestly, I think ultimately, in months, years down the line, I'll probably be like, yeah, actually, frankly, right now, I feel like this game lands within that realm of Metroid Prime 3 for me. And frankly, Prime 2 as well. I'm one of the people who really prefers the first game overall, primarily because of the level structure. So, it's probably no surprise to hear that I was disappointed that was not present in Prime 4. But kind of what Wayne was saying about those quieter moments and really like the world as a character itself, I think that there's a lot of moments in this game where I got a lot of that. And I wrote just a short little article that I put up on Blue Sky, and just kind of talking about my conflicting opinions with this game, because it's been a long time since I've had a game that I have such heavily stratified highs and lows that I couldn't really reconcile. And I didn't know how I ultimately felt. I didn't know if the stuff that was like so visually interesting about places like, Fury Green, Volt Forge, Ice Belt, even the Great Mine at times. There's some really cool visual design moments and atmospheric design. But the gameplay and the story, especially, it was such a stark change in my opinion on this game, of going from that almost Metroid Dread or even Metroid Fusion level of tension from Ice Belt to then going to Flare Pool, and it's the most linear. It is like a straight line that you go through it.
Yeah.
And it has such a cool boss fight. I think the boss fight is a neat part of that game. in Flare Pool. But having Armstrong and Duke with you the whole time, and Armstrong's like, "Oh my gosh, she's a morph ball right now," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Shut up." And like, those moments didn't land for me the way I think they have for other people, and I hate being like the curmudgeon like Metroid person who's like, "I just want to be alone. Leave me alone." So Flare Pool was like where everything kind of changed for me, and then everything after that, like the Great Mine and the last push through the Chrono Tower and everything, that just didn't really land for me. And I think, though, ultimately, the highest praise I can give this game is that I still 100%ed all the items. I got 100% of items. And I do plan eventually to replay this game and see if I can play it faster and do it. Has that it didn't disappoint me to any level to where I am like, I'm not even going to do that with it, because I love Metroid that much. I will do that with every single game. Now, it's not going to be like I play Zero Mission like 2 or 3 times a year. I play Metroid Prime like once or twice every other year. Super is like almost an annual playthrough for me as well. It's not that level, but maybe in like 3 or 4 years I might, have a couple playthroughs under my belt. So that's like, it's very conflicted. I don't know, like, if I was like cornered, like give it a score, I'd be like, I don't know, is it a 3 out of 5? Is it a 2 out of 5? I don't know, but it doesn't encapsulate the entirety of my thoughts to put it in a number like that.
Yeah. I want to ask you a quick question, Trav, before I throw in like my overall thoughts. If Ice Belt was the low point, what area do you feel was the highest or high point for you?
Volt Forge, and probably Fire Area that I'm forgetting the name of.
Okay, because
I loved Volt Forge beginning to end, and the boss at the end is probably my favorite boss in the game. The Zelios shape thing was just a spectacle. I loved it. And I did want to loop it back around. I don't want to spend too long on it because I know our time is limited. But I want to poke you guys a little bit asking about the Ice Belt thing, because for me, in my experience, it was like, yeah, the story was really cool, but oh my gosh, the wolf encounter, I'm so sorry, Wayne, I hated it.
I didn't
because I spent so long. I tried, like, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna die if these wolves like try to kill me. Like, so I'm gonna use all of my tools. I'm gonna use all of my missiles that I've been going out of the way for. I'm gonna use all of my beams. And I was there for what felt like 10 minutes, and I'm like, how freaking long is this? Like, I'm still here. What is going on? Where's the big boss that's going to come out of the sky and kill me? And then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to kill myself and die. And then that just left, I think, a sour taste in my mouth that did affect my ability to analyze the area, because the lore was super cool. And you go around, you get all this stuff about them, the breaking down the Reavers. And I had this great moment. There's one great moment that I will extend an olive branch. There's one really cool moment where there's all the Reavers and the pods, and I went to go look at one, and I'm like, oh, it's one of them axolotl guys, and then I scanned it, I'm like, it's a Reaver? What? And that was before the reveal that they were like genetically similar, and so I'm like,
yeah,
I get it. Hit me with it.
You were gonna ask, or you gave your thoughts on Ice Belt, and the reason I was asking you which one you thought was the strongest for you is I think the reason Ice Belt might stand out as one of the stronger areas is outside of that opening where they do have that really the wolf scene. Outside of that is pretty much the only area left where you are left to your own devices, because Volt Forge, you're left to your own devices, obviously, but Volt Forge to me was probably the least linear overall, but it was still like, I noticed how linear it was quickly, especially because it's 3 towers. They're all, it was very samey, and I enjoyed it, but there was a point where I was like, why is this still going?
Ice Belt for me was the last moment where I believed they could help themselves.
Yeah. Okay. I think there's the moment in Ice Belt where I was really shocked. When the first trailer for this came out, and when you saw Fury Green, and it was a cliff and you could see off to the bridge to the temple. And I remember thinking to myself, I really hope that isn't the entirety of this zone. It's just going along the cliff, going to the bridge, and to the temple. I just had this feeling, like the way it was framed, I was like, I think that's all this is going to be. I really hope that's not true. And then we saw other trailers, and it looked like there was a variety of locations in there. Turns out This is pretty much just going along the cliff, and then you go across the bridge. There's more to it. There's like a little bit of a loop at one point, but by and large, that's what this is. And so then Voltforge was like, okay, I'm going back and forth through these areas. It's kind of linear, but it's not too bad. But then we got the map in Ice Belt, and it's this like concentric spiral going up and down. It looked like, and there's these loops back around for the like morph ball to go in between them. And I was like, okay, there we go. They're just ramping up. They're introducing people. They're worried about how people responded to Prime. Okay, now it's just the ball's rolling. It's going to get better and better and better. And then it did not go back to that. And that's I don't want to put all of the critical like judgment of this game on whether its level design is like Prime 1's or not. But just that is just something that is I really enjoy, and I think there's for a lot of people the idea of a Metroid game is like, at least to some level, a bunch of interconnected levels that you're kind of figuring out where to go. And I thought that was going to happen, and it never really did.
That's where I was going to kind of go alongside the Ice Belt thing being one of the ones where you're left to your own devices, because that's pretty much outside of the end of the Great Mines. The last time you are left to your own devices outside of backtracking, because you do kind of go back to Lava Flare Pool. You do go back there for one thing, but I think the thing to me is I'm not a Metroid Prime purist. I think you can have a linear... I think you can have a linear Metroid game, because I think Metroid is much less of a Metroidvania than people who like Metroid usually like to say. I think Nintendo...
That's a really apt
I think Nintendo's also hamstrung
and,
by that same thought, that Metroid has to appeal to this very specific mass market, and I think the series tends to maybe overcompensate for that when we're in a world where you have a game like Hollow Knight, where even Silksong has outsold the entire Metroid series. Any single game in the Metroid series, not the entire series.
Sure.
Probably close. I think that there's a direction issue with Metroid as a whole, which a lot of people have felt for a long time. But this was really where I started to truly feel it in the modern era. And
is it rude to say that Prime 4 reminded me a lot in a lot of different places of Other M?
I can see that.
I have a...
I think that's fair.
And I don't mean it in the kind of hyperbolic way that people talk about Other M. I mean in the more interesting, there's a discussion to be had about Other M kind of way.
I've had a hot take that I have been saving until we get to the spoiler stuff, but I'll kind of hint at it now. I think that Prime 4 has a moment that feels the closest to an Other M character assassination moment that this series has maybe ever had, besides Other M.
I know the one you're talking about.
And we'll get to that in a sec. This should probably be your spoiler warning, so in case you haven't played and you want to, spoilers from this point on.
I have a guess, but I don't know what that could be.
I think...
Oh, he told me. So.
My general takeaway, because I haven't really fully hit exactly on how I feel. I think I'm the most negative of all of us on it, or the most critical. I still liked it. I think it's a fine game. But I think there's a point at which it very clearly tries to follow in Prime 3's footsteps and become kind of a Metroid Halo-ish. And I think if you're going to do that, you need more than 3 enemy types. Because this game has a devastating lack of enemy variety. It is the same 3 robots and the same
robots
and the same Reavers, which are just different colors, and one eventually explodes.
No. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
It doesn't help that the first couple of chords of the Viola theme is literally just the Halo theme.
I didn't even catch that. I'm not gonna lie, but
yeah, go listen to the Viola theme and just you'll hear Halo.
And so I think the parts that I have issues with, I usually laugh with or at, and that helps for me because I think, again, if you're taking it too seriously, that's usually a you problem a lot of the time. But there is a point where I started to seriously feel annoyed on behalf of people who do take it more seriously, and that's mainly related to I think this has one of the least satisfying third acts of any Nintendo game in recent memory. Or probably in general from Nintendo games, because putting aside the desert, because the desert has been talked about to death, I expected from the mines onward, they did all the death fake outs, and that was fun. That was fine, whatever. I thought that area was maybe the most excessive overall, because it's kind of like trying to be Aliens, and it's not doing it well at all. But we'll skip that for now. I think I expected I expected better of the key hunt. The key hunt being the mechs, because there was a moment where I thought, oh, did I miss the ability to start this quest sooner? Because I knew where they all were, and so it was the fact that once the Great Minds ends, you are then told outright by Miles, oh, go find Sniper. He's hanging out in
Oh my God.
He's hanging out somewhere. Go find him, and he gives you the ability to then go get the mechs, the mech parts, because you get all the keys you need, and only at the exact point that you get all the keys to activate the teleporter, does Miles say, oh, also we need a mech. And we need to use that, you need to get the mech parts to then be able to destroy the shield. I thought the keys were for the shield too. I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe I'm stupid. I am stupid.
Not to cut you off,
They
but I
say
think
at the beginning that it's for the ship.
To give the game a little bit of credit, they established the key hunt, and they say it's for the teleporter,
yes.
and that's before the force field even goes up, because you don't get the force field going up over Chrono Tower until you reach Vault Forge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had assumed that the force field going up was like, oh shit, something has gone wrong.
Okay, I didn't really get that vibe out of it, and maybe the benefit to my credit on that, I think the fact that there is no final area of the game proper makes me think that was a miscue on their part, in my opinion.
Maybe, yeah.
Whatever the case, I knew the mech parts were going to come into play, but I didn't expect it to be so late into the adventure, similar to like the artifact keys.
Yeah.
But only because you had to talk to somebody specifically in one of the 4 or 5 spots where he's at a campfire, and then the other times he gives you missile upgrades. I had done most of the exploring by that point. I had gone back and done a lot of the the collection of the miscellaneous stuff, and I had already felt how linear the game truly was at that point when I had gone and done the backtracking and seen that even when you have all the abilities, they're kind of just to go activate a key at the very bottom of the area. It's not really like it makes backtracking faster half the time, or most of the time. And so to finish this long walk for a drink of water, from the point of the Great Minds onward, I felt the game going a bit more and more downhill, with the exception of the bonus flare pool stuff, because there was something funny about seeing the area where you have where you're forced to do the dumb but I thought funny 1, 2, 3 doors with somebody else, and then going back and getting the Metroid moment of, oh, you can do it on your own, but it's just a door to go around the door. That made me laugh because it was really dumb. But it continued going downhill to the point that I thought there was going to be like a final dungeon, which is not super Metroidy. But the way that it was setting up, I thought, okay, once you all get in there, there's another area like the Great Minds where you're all working together and you're going and doing another semi-linear Metroid area. So for the final Chrono Tower area to be 3 hallways and then a boss fight that betrays the lock-on process to the point... So I see you making a face, Trav. Silex, the lock-on on Silex is on...
Are you talking about how you aim and then you, like...
No,
controller?
I'm talking about how most every boss in this game follows the usual Metroid Prime thing of locking on, and you can usually in the Wii versions aim a little bit around with your stick while locked onto a thing. Silex's fight, you lock onto Silex himself and not the tentacles. You cannot lock onto the tentacles, so the best strategy is to use the final lightning shot.
Yes, you're totally right. My surprise there was like, oh, I guess you haven't really played Prime 3, and you're right, because the only time that this game really uses that is during like the first boss during the Silex's assault on the Federation. So you're right. I was just like, oh my gosh.
What I'm saying is for a game to have it felt like that was the point at which they realized, oh, we should have mouse controls, because I didn't use the mouse controls.
I think that a lot of bosses actually use that to some degrees. It's just the first phase
with the first Silex fight, you can use that to shoot down his missiles, but it's not required.
Well, you can still lock onto the creature. It's like I'm saying, unless you have the third lightning power up, and until you figure out the third lightning power up is the best strategy there, or the second lightning power up. Excuse me. You know what I mean. Until that point, you are encouraged not to lock on, because you are in the middle of also playing caretaker for the other 4 people who are low on health. So you have to like defend them, because if they get downed, you have to heal them or you lose. You have to lock onto Silex, who is spinning faster and faster and faster as you do more damage to him and his tentacles. And so I felt, until I was playing around, because obviously, you experiment in Metroid. Early on, I was like, okay, this feels like the mouse controls were a stopgap solution to this specific boss fight, and it felt like a step too far from the way that the aiming system had been the entire rest of the game prior, because I didn't have issues prior to that.
Because I had already kind of like started getting myself acquainted with that sort of system. I mean, they sort of introduce it to you with that first boss fight in the beginning of the game. But for me, the most extreme example of it before the Silex fight was the Master Griever, when you're like targeting specific limbs, but you can only target the center of it. Like you still have to go off cursor.
It got a little funky.
And then with the crab thing guarding one of the pieces in Flare Pool, because you got to go for the eyes, and it's all like you're still aiming for things that you can't lock onto. It's just that the Silex fight, phase 1, like I get what you're saying. I just think like it's still the same concept. I just think they took it like a few extra steps
and I'm saying
in a different direction.
I'm saying I think.
Hold on, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for you, Kevin. I'm not letting you defend yourself. Basically, every other time that the game has made you do that, except for the opening boss fight, where it's like the little Metroid patches on the guy that you have to shoot. Every other time, it's kind of just optional. You don't need to engage with. Well, I'm using this motion because I used the gyro aiming. But like even with like Zelios, it helps to get that extra aiming. Like you can stay locked on, but then you can move it to break out these different parts. But you could also move yourself into position.
So
hit those
that's
spots
part
better.
of it, and the other part I'm trying to get at is I think they took it too far, because that arena is tiny. Every other time you are in a big arena where the enemy is really far away from you, those tentacles are above you while you are trying to. If you don't have that third power up, locking on is a disadvantage, because
and you're babysitting.
Yeah, and you're babysitting. And either way, the point that I'm making is that
part's interesting. I didn't feel like I was babysitting. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
Well, I mean, they get downed. So if they get downed, you have to revive them. And for me, at least, because I was experimenting with all the weapons and whatnot just to see what was the optimal strategy. They were down like 6 or 7 times. Pardon the 6, 7. But they all got downed at least once.
Son of a!
That wasn't intentional, I promise. They all got downed at least once, and that didn't bother me. It didn't take a long time to heal them, but it was emblematic of a lot of the issues that I had already seen people having with it. And again, the point was not really to talk about that boss fight itself. The point was that then becomes the last impression I have of the game, and it left a sour taste in my mouth, because the final boss fight is sick. The second half of that boss fight I really enjoyed.
He stole my energy tank.
That was really it was such a good
that was awesome.
It was such a good subversion of a lot of the fun, dumb Metroid stuff that we all love. And the problem that I have from there goes into the thing that I was saying, that I think bastardized it, and character assassinated Samus. Thank you. A little bit. I don't think it really did, but I think it's the closest we've come. And that is the fact that in that final boss fight, the second half of the fight against Silex, he uses an ability that you then need to use your psychic control shot to hit him. When after that he shows back up and shoots the others, and they all just are able to grab him and hold onto him and tell Samus the teleporter is breaking, go do that. It stretched credulity for me to then say, okay, she could control shot him and then have the others really quickly run. Like, this is Samus we're talking about. I don't care how strong Silex is.
Well, not even that. Miles is laying on the ground 3 inches from the shield.
That too.
And he just sits there.
Like that whole sequence to me.
But he was shot.
I know Samus.
I'm gonna shoot myself.
I know Samus is a loner, and I know that doesn't mean she doesn't have emotions. We've seen her have emotions, and we see her
we see it in this game.
We see it in this game, and it's well done. I think I don't have an issue with the companions for most of the adventure. It's only the very last stretch, which I didn't hit on too much because we got distracted. But
I was even bothered during the sequence when Duke sacrifices himself. Like even then, I'm like, you have the room to do something.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
And that's what I'm saying. Is like that moment.
It was Aliens, but not as good.
It's straight up like, go on. We're gonna let ourselves die to Silex. We still haven't understood why Silex is why. we're not going to, but like.
Yeah, I mean they're saving it until like Prime 6 probably.
And I still want to hit on my thing with that.
And so again, I'm going a long way here, but that specific thing where they could have done the Metroid Prime 1 thing of, oh, you hit a wall and the gem fell out, and then that explains why she can't use the control shot. I would have been okay with that, because at least it's something instead of you literally have the ability to, in the fight itself, you already did that exact thing to stop it. You know?
The whole game, we've been shooting the beam through, like, things that are rotating quickly.
It's the most
know
used
that
thing.
She can do that.
Like it's the most usability she has in this game.
Oh, kitty cat.
And so, anyway,
was the portal started by that time? Because I'm trying to think, like, okay, maybe it's like maybe she couldn't.
It was revving
like
up.
The little barrier it was generating.
It's spinning up and it's been damaged, and then you have to press A to press the button to teleport.
Anything. I'm trying to think of like some excuse, but no, I'm struggling.
It reminds me again. It's the closest I think we've come to an Other M sort of moment where it's like you are Samus, you have the ability to do something, and even if you felt that it's in the best interest of your mission not to, this wasn't your mission. This wasn't what the mission was that you started with. You've just taken on this mission of reviving this whole species.
Especially when it's implied that, like, the whole reason that, like, Samus is really even taking the mission this far is because of the other people that are also trapped here.
Yeah.
Well, also just take him with you.
Yeah.
Take Silex back and arrest him at the fucking base. Sorry, can we swear?
That's almost, that's fine. Swear jar.
Yeah. That's almost a more interesting. And actually, I want to hear your feelings, because there's something about this that I talked to some others about. But go ahead, Wayne. I know you wanted to bring something up.
Oh, can I have that? I've already been talking way too much.
He wants to tell us about his fan fiction.
I want to tell you about my fan fiction.
My thing is, because I brought up, like, when I was reviewing the game, I brought up the fact that, like, so when Miles is tagging along for a short stint, he will start making comments, right? And he'll be like, oh, what have you? And it's just like, cool, thoughts I would have liked to have had myself without you telling me I was supposed to have them. And there was a built-in solution. And it was go up to him, press A, and then hear what he has to say about the situation surrounding you, which, you know, the game does, but it doesn't, like, leave it to that. And so it both leaves it optional, but also forces it upon you. But so what drives me crazy is, like we were talking about with, like, the teleporter thing, is when it feels like there is a clear-cut answer to fix the problem with your story, and you don't take it. And instead make it a big guy in a blue suit crying over his broken toy. And for me, why the hell was Silex not a Lamorne? I don't understand why they didn't do that. Like, they even establish, hey, we sent scouts out there to go find our chosen one. And when you're reading, like, the Lemurian, like, texts and everything in Icebelt, and you're starting to hear that people are starting to lose faith in this prophesied chosen one and everything, in my mind, I'm just like, oh, Silex, that's why he hates her. That's why he brought her here. Like, and it's like, you could have explained why he has mind control Metroids that never show up throughout the rest of the game, except for in boss battles, but you don't actually get to see the Metroids take over the creatures or how they even got there to begin with.
That was one that got me, is like, not to jump on you, but like, you see the Metroid show up, which apparently, I didn't know this was from Federation Forces Ending. I didn't know that, because why the hell would I have played that game or cared?
It's okay. It's fine.
Sure,
it's fine.
I'm not going to care.
The mech is from Federation Force.
The only blast ball I'm ever going to care about is in Ratchet and Clank's mobile game. So, to me, there was like seeing the Metroid pop out, like they wanted that to be the oh shit moment, but it felt like we're at the point of Metroid. Seeing a Metroid is not an oh shit moment anymore to me. And I feel like that they tried to force that to be one by saying, oh, because I know those are probably mock droids, not Metroids. Doesn't matter for the purposes of what we're talking about. The fact that it's there for that fight, and then, like you said, Silex isn't like in a stasis pod the entire rest of the game as far as we know. So how did he get to all those areas before Samus to put the Metroids there? And why is there not any commentary about the Metroids, like the green energy being an invasive species at all?
That was unrelated.
No, that was it.
I was thinking.
Because it feels like the green energy is supposed to be the phase-on of this of this.
We have phase
Well,
on
I mean, they
place.
clearly were setting up for Silux to have some deeper connection to this. I mean, like with the boss of the mining area, it starts to look more like Silux. It starts turning blue and having cracks in it that are green. Like, and you know, if we're gonna take the understanding that Hunters was before Prime 2, then you know he's been like this for a while. Why is he still like that? Why, like, what is his deeper connection to this planet?
That gets worse.
And it's never explained.
That gets worse because, from what I understand, someone pointed out that the ship that you see in this game from Samus is the Prime 3 ship. So, the timeline makes no sense if you think about it deeply. I'm not going to think about it that deeply. It's a ship. Who cares? But, like...
It's to me, it's also like... so, it's, again, with the Metroids and everything... because if you scan Silux during the first phase of his boss fight, you get a little bit of insight on him where it's saying that he has essentially not like created an affiliation with the space pirates. He's controlling them and he's using the Metroids to do it. And that and in that boss fight, it says like he took over the leader of the space pirates. And I'm just like, are they going to throw in a Metroid-infused Ridley at the end of this? I kind of thought they were going to do that.
I didn't even think of that.
It feels like it took so much of... Like Metroid doesn't have a Bible. I know that. But it feels like it took what was intended to be a Metroid Bible and someone skimmed it. And there's something about it between that and between the way that the Silux 100% ending goes to me. Because to me... You've had this character and people have wanted more about him for 20 years. That means that when you make the entire game filler for the next game, you have made Shenmue 3.
Yes.
Metroid Prime 4 is Shenmue 3. And again, I said this earlier before the spoiler part. I don't trust Retro, having made one game since 2014, it being this one. I don't trust them to be able to make a Metroid Prime 5. They've only made remakes since Tropical Freeze.
Did you see that somebody remade the one Eye Patch Wolf thumbnail with the "I wasted my life" and it's like Prime 4 Samus?
I'm glad other people have had that thought because my first thought upon finishing the game was this is Shenmue, and seeing people hit that was like, okay, good. I'm not crazy. Like what? Like I don't know. The fact that his like you could have picked any version of a backstory for Silux, and I'm not attached to Silux. I don't really care about the character. You could have picked anything else and it would have been better than I want that gun. I want that big gun.
And that's my thing too, is I'm just like, because to me it wasn't so much important to it was important to make the build-up of like 20 years of wait for finding out what this character was about to mean something, but I didn't need it to mean something to Samus's past.
No.
I wanted it to mean something to the story that this game was giving me. And so that's why I wanted him to have a closer connection to Viros and to the Lemorn and to the Grievers and everything. I personally, I know it's all fan fiction, but I love the idea that like he's infected with the green energy and it's slowly mutating him, and that's why he has this suit that we never see him out of, and it's driving him crazy. And I love the idea that it's just like, can you imagine how long, God knows how long he's been out there like looking for some savior, knowing that his entire race is dying and transforming into monsters back home. But then like if he was a Lemorn, he would also have psychic powers. Kind of an easy way to explain why he was able to create mind control Metroids.
He already kind of does based on that final boss fight. And I'll
jump... And teleportation powers!
I want to hear
which the Lemorn have.
I want to hear what Benjamin's fan fiction version was. But to your point, I hadn't fully thought about what you said. And I think I'll fan fiction a bit as well. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it make sense for him to be the Samus of the Lemorn? Not one of the species, but... like somebody
like they took him in and infused his DNA,
adopted by the species.
And that'd be so fucking cool.
And the reason he's going in Federation Force, the reason he goes to get the Metroids is he thinks he's the chosen one.
Yeah.
Rather than the chosen one being the Chozo one, which is so lame.
And then him accidentally bringing Samus to Viros would be him inadvertently like fulfilling the prophecy just through means beyond himself.
Yeah, because he thinks like, if he thinks the Metroids are his way of saving it or whatever, like there's something like that. Like there's an option there, and that we came up with that off the top of our heads based on what you just said. Like we've had these ideas for moments, and I know a lot has to go right to make even a bad game. So I understand that some things can go wrong, and I understand that everyone who worked on this game probably knew well before we did, even after the first reboot of the game. They understood, and I get that. But there's a certain threshold where I don't find it excusable anymore, and I think that the way that Prime 4 ends, I don't want a Prime 5 from them. I think there should have been a different sub-series at this point. I think you should have rebooted it not as a Prime game, call it Metroid Beyond. It would have been, perceived better if there wasn't the expectation of it being a Prime game. You could have done whatever you wanted. You could have been as linear as you wanted. There's so much there that I feel a little intellectually insulted by them doing this Halo 4 situation, where it's a whole reboot saga, or not reboot, a whole separate continuation saga, where you need to give me more than what you did if you're going to try and tell me spend $70 on this game and then spend 70 more in 5 years maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't trust that.
The irony there.
Yeah, go ahead.
The irony there being that Halo 4 was made by a lot of people who made Metroid Prime 3,
Yep.
and then this game was made by a lot of
Yep.
X343 people. So maybe there's
something there. There's some threats.
Not to mention, we don't know how much of this was carried over from the original Bandai Namco
100%,
concept.
100%.
Yeah.
We don't. Well, I mean, Tanabe's been talking about wanting Prime 4 to focus on the Galactic Federation since Prime 3 ended. This was Tanabe wanted to do this for Prime 4. Who knows what Prime 5 will look like? I feel like just based on how things go, if they have a Prime 5, they probably have a Prime 6 in mind too. My fan fiction version of what Metroid Prime 4, there are two versions, because I think the problem with this game is it's not confident in itself, and it's trying to do two different things at once. Yep. It's trying to be Metroid Prime, and it's trying to be the conclusion to Metroid Prime Hunters, Federation Force, and then now this continuing on, and who knows what 5 and 6 will be. But I think if I was going to my solve for a lot of these narrative and honestly, frankly, gameplay and level design issues, or I guess inconsistencies, will be generous, set the whole thing on Tanimar. In the wake of the attack, just have Samus and these 4 troopers be the only ones left alive. That's it. And all you're doing is trying to survive in the ruins of the Galactic Federation facility, and Sylux and the space pirates are hunting you down. You can make this as linear as you want. It can be as creepy and weird, and you're being hunted. And then we are centering the entire game on what ostensibly is the biggest crux of this narratively, even though, so like Samus saving the Lemorne is what you're doing, but what this game seems to be about is Sylux and his failed attempt for he and his squad to take over this space pirate ship as a mirror, like an antithetical mirror to Samus and her efforts to save her squad, right? And so we're dealing with these two, there's better thematic tension there. Like I said, you can have this game be as linear as you want because we got to escape. We can't go back and find all those cool power-ups, Samus. Move forward. Then when things happen like, oh my gosh, Duke just may have sacrificed himself, or Miles gets shot, there's more tension there. There's really high stakes because you're really just this whole time trying to save them. Now, I think that the game that maybe I wanted more was I'm just Samus by myself figuring out what happened to the Lemorne and saving this planet. But I think the game that Retro and Tanabe maybe wanted to make, and I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth. Sure. I'm going to say that it seems like at some level they wanted to make this a story about the Galactic Federation and Sylux more so than anything else. And I think that that's why so much of the story, not the scan logs per se, but the narrative crux, the scenario of this game is about them. And I'm deeply fascinated. We'll never know what was the back and forth. Why did the Lemorne come into this? Where did Sylux come into this? Who was deciding what level of of importance these elements ultimately became. But yeah, for me, I think that a game completely focused on Silex would have been more interesting and would have allowed for a lot of the things that Prime 4 wanted to do.
Yeah. I've seen there have been theories that Vuros and Tanimar are the same planet.
Just like different dimensionally.
Different dimensions, different, time. Cause
That sounds dumb as hell.
I agree. I agree.
So I get there's a little credence to that, if only because like when you see her like accessing like the control panel for the teleporter at the end, it's almost like she's sifting through planes instead of just like different locations. Like there's whole
I thought
like
they were,
sectioned
like,
off
galaxies.
maps.
I thought they were sectors
Yeah,
at first,
so
but then
too.
I
Because
saw
they established that it is a different galaxy. Like this
They-
is
they
the first
jump
time we've
different
really gone
system.
out.
Yeah.
It could go either way. That it could be like sectors of the galaxy, or it could be.
They left it open enough.
Because like there is some speculation that why does Samus have the psychic recollection of the Battle of Tanimar, if it's not like how does Silex end up there on Vuros
I
if
still
Tanimar
have-
isn't?
I just figured they're psychically linked.
That would make
Why?
sense. But like I mean,
Because what do you mean why? We see him use Lemorne abilities during the fight.
He
He's
goes in the
clearly
Yeah,
pod
but
and
why
stuff,
why
too.
can he use them?
I'm
We don't know
I'm
yet.
willing to
That
give,
is fair.
Yeah,
I'm
that's my
willing-
problem.
I'm willing to give it that he was in the stasis pod, therefore he had the Lemorne, the gem as well. He opened his third eye.
Well, I mean,
But-
he was been controlling like other Siluxes around the facility too.
Yeah, but we also don't
Yeah.
really understand why on that.
Yeah, we don't know
This is
why.
what I mean.
You're-
If you
you're
just put it
Things
all
happen.
on Tanimar.
There's so much
happen.
potential there. Yeah, I agree.
And the thing that bothers me the most is why do these guys with flabby arms make bikes? They would just flap in the wind. It doesn't make sense. Why did the Lemorne use bikes if they have
The
like really
technological
Because
really
they
fat
wanted a
flabby-
motorcycle, damn it.
But the
Why are they
technological arc of
axolotls
this,
in a desert?
Yeah,
the technological
Well, the-
arc of the
Lava.
Lemorne doesn't make sense to me because they talk about having an age of technology, but then they also seem to have like something beyond that where they became more of them became psychically had psychic powers.
Yeah.
But then also their highest point of technological advancement is after that. So I'm very confused as to like where why if you're a psychic and you can just float everywhere, like
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I will say
I'm joking about the bike thing, but it's really funny because they have just the super flabby arms, and it's like those would drag so much in the desert. It'd be awful.
well, the desert, it didn't used to be a desert. They do establish at
that's
one
true.
point that it became like that, and the use of the green energy was to try to bring it back to the way that it used to be.
Sure.
See, that's the thing that
I hate the name
frustrates-
Green Energy. All right, I'm
It
sorry.
sucks.
Yeah, why didn't-
Yeah,
all the names,
give it an
dumb.
actual
the names
name.
in this game are worse than the Tears of the Kingdom names, and that says a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing that frustrates me too, is that like I didn't necessarily want anything that tied back into the original Prime trilogy. I didn't want Mother Brain. I didn't want Ridley. I was okay with the Space Pirates kind of being there towards the beginning, although please do something with the Metroids again. The Nintendo doesn't know what to do with the Metroids anymore because
But like, think about the Prime series place in the timeline.
Yeah,
I'll be quick on
there's
this.
some
Like
tough
the whole,
yeah.
like the next game canonically after Prime, exterminate the Metroids. They're too much.
Yeah.
Prime
Yeah.
has to be the story about why.
Yeah.
And we thought,
Yeah.
Dark Samus is a good reason. Phase is a good reason. We
Yeah.
need this new trilogy to be that reason. Then, if Phase wasn't enough.
Boy, do I have a
apparently
story for
they can
you.
like infuse into things and
Yeah,
take
and
them
now-
over and mutate them.
Now
But
Metroid
how?
Fusion
Why?
isn't just a term for a cool game. Now it's like has a purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that frustrated me about this game, because like getting to go to such a distant world and getting to separate, because the thing is that's difficult with Metroid is that it is the only series that has really held onto a very tight canon. Zelda
For
pretended,
Nintendo, at least, yeah.
that's what I mean for Nintendo. Zelda pretended to for a while, and then Tears of the Kingdom, they were finally like, let's just stop. Let's just do like a standalone story. And I think it was
the
better
Zelda
for
timeline
it.
always, like with the exceptions of like Wind Waker and stuff, it always kind of felt like an afterthought.
Wind
worst
Waker
part
and
was
Twilight
it-
Princess.
The worst part, not to get into it, but the worst part was it was an afterthought, and then it became not an afterthought once they made the timeline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But either way, different story.
I would love to have a deeper discussion about that, because when Hyrule Historia first came out, I was always of the impression that the timeline made sense and actually made Ocarina of Time cooler, but that's a discussion for a different day. But with this tight canon and everything, and if you want to continue making games in this franchise, I mean, where do you go in Metroid 6 at this point? The Metroids are gone. Like, there's no bringing them back. They are gone. They have been eradicated, like, 3 times.
What are they going to do? Like, clone them from Samus's DNA again?
Again? I mean, it's very Alien 4, which...
Oh, you're talking about Sakamoto Metroid Prime 6.
Metroid,
Okay.
yeah.
Metroid 6.
Yeah.
Because, like,
6, yeah.
I don't know what she's supposed to look like under that helmet anymore, because it's a miracle she even vaguely resembles a human at this point.
Well, I mean, whatever. I don't want to. We don't have to talk about Dread's ending.
yeah. But like, I'm interested to see where they're trying to take the series beyond that, because Sakamoto said that was the end of the Metroid, like the original Metroid saga, and I'm guessing he has plans beyond that. And
he's like 75. They might just be done. Like
because
Metroid doesn't do like gangbusters numbers even on the Switch. Like Dread is the best-selling Metroid game, and they still can't seem to find a way to appeal. Like, I think the Metroid, I said it earlier, the Metroidvania genre has moved past Metroid and Castlevania so much that those games are so stuck on an antiquated idea of what a Metroid or Metroidvania has to be that even, I think Dread rules. I like Dread a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, even that is, like, it's definitely a Metroidvania, but it's like a fusion-styled Metroidvania, which I'm cool with.
It is a lot more linear than people give it credit for, but it hides that linearity.
There was a thing. Yeah. There was a thing I said to the two of you, and not you, Brendan. I'm sorry, but when we were talking about it when it came out, I had forgotten you were such a Metroid guy that I didn't even think of it to poke you about this stuff. But there was something about how I think Nintendo has a fundamental disagreement with what Metroid should be at this point, which is something people have said for a long time, compared to what the genre is. And I think it's chasing this mythical casual player when I think Metroidvanias are more popular than ever. I think there's a room to go hardcore on a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
And not that that's relevant to Prime, because Primes aren't Metroidvanias, but I think that fundamental chasing of casual players will only serve to end the series again sooner. I think that they tried it with a game like Other M, and I think Other M, if executed a lot better, could have been pretty cool. You know, I think, like, yeah. And
I still kind of like Other M.
I think Prime 4,
I do too.
if executed a little better, similar to Other M, could have been pretty cooler. You know, I think at this point, we've seen how Tanabe wants to go, where Tanabe wants to go with the rest of the series, with his 10-year vision for what this was going to be, which is the exact same crutch that we saw lead to Other M. And thankfully it led to Sakamoto genuinely seeming to learn and understand that, you know, yes, this is still his baby, but it's also certainly not his baby once it comes out, you know, Death of the Author and all that, that he understood, I need to give up that hope of it being this deeper story, or work it into the style of a Metroidvania for people to accept it. And I think that we're in that moment now with Prime, because I don't have a problem with the Federation existing. I think the problem is the writing is shit.
It's very cliche.
Yeah.
They never say anything interesting.
Yeah.
I will say the one, I guess the two characters that I latched onto the most were probably, like, again, Miles and Takobi, because Takobi, Kevin, you and I were texting each other and just kind of, like, going over, like, some of the contradictions of, like, Takobi's backstory and everything, but I think the intent, like, came through. And with Miles,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think that I understood why they were referencing him being a hunter, to give you some more backstory on the universe, and I liked that. But the second time we're at a campfire and he's talking, this is another, you know, fan fiction storytelling thing. I was like, oh shit, this dude's Silex. Because, like,
I thought the same thing.
And then they don't
that
do
would have
that.
been cool.
And I'm fine with them not doing that. But then it becomes so blatantly this guy telling you his backstory, so you feel worse when he gives you the necklace that he threw at you when he could have just also gone to the teleporter. More proof that they could have just gone into the teleporter if a stupid necklace can go through.
Yeah, he did throw it in. Samus could have shot out of it. You're right.
If they were at least like determined to go that route, does anybody else think that they should have given her a dread moment and let Samus say "Solon be with you"?
I mean,
that's dumb as.
I would have wanted.
I'm fine with that not being the case for that specific scene.
Yeah.
And I will say I like her being mute in this game only because it's so stupid it's funny. What's the one? I forget the exact one. I think it's with the girl where
Sorry, Wayne, it's not dumb as fuck.
You're fine. You're fine.
It's with the girl saying something, I think in the mines, where she's like, "Oh, go on without me." And there's like a whole sequence of things happening around her. And Samus gives the most subtle nod of the entire game, where it looks like like you almost don't know if it's there. And I laughed because it's so funny that they're just like making fun of Samus as a character at that point.
It felt like they couldn't pick a lane because it was just like they wanted to tell us like a deeper story, and they wanted to try to get you invested with these characters, but also Samus's relationship with them. And in parts, for me, it works. Again, Takobi, campfire stories and everything, she'll kneel down and just get on eye level with him. Little moments like that worked wonders for me.
Like with Armstrong, I really like the moments like Samus generally up until Lava Drip,
Flare,
whatever. Up until that point, like doesn't really communicate even non-verbally with the other guys. But when Armstrong's there, someone who's clearly a rookie and inexperienced, she starts like nodding and like showing her things with the holograms.
Thought it was good.
It was a good moment. That's a great moment.
Because I didn't think I thought she was cringy on purpose, and I thought it was kind of endearing because it's like, oh, that's what people actually say when they play Metroid sometimes, where it's she's in ball form now. Like they make jokes and she's thrown out.
That's true.
I thought that was really cute.
Yeah,
I hated her with a passion, but I feel like I need to play the game again and just try to give her a chance.
I didn't
think you're
hate her,
heartless.
but I didn't like her very well. I think my issue with a lot of the interactions between Samus and the other NPCs is because they frame it in a reverse shot manner.
Yep.
So you have the character's face, they say something, they look at Samus, she says nothing. That's weird. I think, personally, if I was to wave a magic wand, I would set this up more like Half-Life and Half-Life 2, where characters are talking to Gordon, but you never leave Gordon's eyes.
Yeah.
You are always behind the visor so that you are being talked to as the player. And so when they respond, like in this kind of weird, Samus didn't say anything, but you absorbed what they were saying and they're responding almost to your thoughts, like how you kind of feel in Half-Life.
They're psychic
I
too.
think that... Right, sure. But I think that would be a more effective framing, like literal camera framing, to allow Samus to be mute. I don't know if I want Samus to speak per se, but the way that they handled it in at least a few of the scenes in this game, I understand why people didn't like it. It didn't bother me per se, but I understand why people didn't like it.
I like her.
There's the scene where Takobi says, "Where are we?" And then it just cuts to Samus, and then he keeps talking. And I laughed so hard. I couldn't take it that seriously, and that's not a knock on the game itself that I couldn't take it seriously. Maybe some people would say that, at that point I'm a fake fan, I guess that's fine. But again, I just laughing at it brought me more joy than most of the gameplay did. So
Sure.
I think for me it was just like the idea of like giving Samus like a line is I feel like you can almost kind of punctuate the silence with like just giving her like the one shot. Dread is a good example. Not only did she get a chance to speak in Dread, it was in a point that felt very meaningful. But I thought that game also did a great job using her body language. I was listening back to a podcast that some friends and I did when Dread came out, and we were talking about when she meets Quiet Robe, and she's like super on guard and everything, and then he gives her the Thoha greeting, and then she calms down, and I had to go back and double check, and I was right in my original assessment. Not only does she calm down and like just kind of like relax, she goes into a very specific pose that she was depicted in the manga when she was on planet Zebes with the Chozo. It's all so deliberate, and I think that's why I liked the kneeling with Takobi thing, is like that was also framed really well, kind of like you were saying, Brendan, with it was like it was breaking away from the reverse shot. And she spoke to Quiet Robe for a moment in the Chozo language, and that's kind of why I wanted her to say something to Kobe at the end there, was like if she's going to speak, she's going to like use those words in like the moment that she thinks feels most meaningful to a person.
I get where you're coming from on that. I think also that would go back to, it would go back to my point of, if you have time to speak, you have time to shoot, for one.
True.
And two, I'm assuming Samus is an atheist, so I don't know that she'd say that. Like,
she might not.
Like,
well, I mean, I don't know. She's seen
a lot of
ghosts
shit.
come out of every.
That's
She's
true.
seen a lot of. So I don't even think that sort of like split it even exists in this universe. I think it's just we got. Anyway,
if she had said it at the tree,
that is an
that'd
interesting
be different.
thought, though. Yeah.
Like if she said,
See, I was thinking about that
would
too.
work.
But I wonder if they were maybe afraid. Dread was already a little bit risking it, probably, to giving her a moment to speak.
In this game, they didn't show it, so
I
don't
don't want Samus
Yeah.
talking to be a checklist that they feel like they need to fulfill with
that's a
future.
good
That is also a fair
good
point. That is also a very fair point.
I think I have a question about the tree scene, and I'm curious what you all think. I got the impression by putting Solon's necklace on that tree, Samus was saying what happened in Vuros stays in Vuros. They're gone. That was and I felt that was being telegraphed throughout the entirety of that third act of like, they're not coming back. We're gonna kill them off. They're not coming back. When the ending happened for me, I was like, yeah, of course that's what happened. I felt like that was being telegraphed the whole time. And that's kind of what I mean too about how I feel this game feels like it's not very confident in itself. It's almost like, hey, don't worry, they're done. They're not coming back. We're not coming back to this. Next time's going to be totally different.
Yeah.
And that could be just my read of it. I'm curious what you think.
I think
I feel like they're. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, go ahead.
I have
No,
more
you go ahead.
crazy. Oh, all right. I think that. All right. So this plays into something deeper that I feel. With how long it took, even for Prime 4 to initially start development, when they announced it the first time, and it was still fairly early in development because all we really got was a logo. I feel like the reason it took Nintendo so long to want to get back to Prime 3, ignoring the financial aspect of it, is that Nintendo probably wanted guarantees that they could make another fruitful trilogy out of this. I think that they didn't come to the table and start developing Prime 4. I don't think that they greenlit development of Prime 4 until someone was like, all right, we need guarantees that you have like a multi-game plan for this so that we can continue milking this, because fans love this shit. There's some problems with that, I guess, but my idea is that it feels very obvious that these characters were meant to be the heart and soul of not just this game, but potentially this entire new trilogy. I think that they're going to be a factor. I also agree, I don't think they're coming back. I think that they are stuck up there in some capacity. They're not going to make it to the end of this story. It's going to be hopefully tragic. That would be pretty cool. But
I think they'll bring him
other
back.
than that, I mean,
I don't know how they'd bring him. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you guys off, but I don't
No,
know.
go ahead.
I don't know how they'd bring him back, Wayne, because Silex, his one thing is, I'm going to kill the Federation. Apparently, we didn't know that until now, but like that's
Silex
knew
is
that
also
in
pulling
Hunters.
portals
we know
out
that,
of his ass. So like I think like given this game's inability to double down on any narrative idea, I think that they could very
I don't
easily
think that
just
they're going to be able to pull it off.
I don't know.
I think my idea of the ending of this trilogy is for that tree from the memory fruit to be fully grown, and for her to open up a portal where the five of them walk out.
I mean, I have a fundamental issue.
It would be
with-
dumb, but that's what I predict. So like that's where I see it
I'm
going.
with you. I could see them doing that.
I have a fundamental issue with the memory fruit stuff in general, because we're also just treating the Lemorn like an invasive species like Metroid, which defeats the whole point of them having learned their lesson. We took them to, given it was their original homeworld apparently, but like we're taking them back and saying, hey, go infect this planet again. and that already felt like Samus. That red flags, dude. Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's literally every story is, sentient life gets too cocky and too brazen and suffers for
the
it.
Tree.
The
established that the
Lamorn
tree
aren't
just
coming
holds
back.
their memories.
Yeah, the Lamorn. There's no bringing them back.
There's a line in
That's
there.
it.
There's a line in there where they say it holds the memories, and it's something about like the makeup of not just their history. Like the way it's phrased sounded like a
I'll
DNA.
need to go back and listen to that.
Like
then.
unless maybe I misunderstood it, but the way that I heard, I saw some of the log stuff from that was, and what they say directly in the cutscenes was like that it holds not just the memories, because like you're our only hope to not just save the planet, save our species. And so like if that's the case, then the memory fruit holds some kind of tree cum that's going to bring the Lamorn back.
My take.
I didn't even like react to that because I'm so used to you talking this way that then I saw them laugh. I'm like,
my take on it was more of a like the memory and like it's sort of like. Because I thought that there was something kind of powerful about the memory fruit thing that I was disappointed that the game didn't put more pressure onto, and I wanted there to be like a deeper urgency to it, but my take on it was that there's no bringing the Lamorn back in a physical sense. Their souls are in there. I think that it's not just their memories. I think that there is like a presence to them. It is the psychic part of them, their minds and their experiences are there. It's why you get the greeting from the one at the end there, which to me, I wanted to get more attached to that moment because you've got this prophet that's like leaving you messages throughout the entire game, and a couple of times he's just like, I really wanted to meet you, like I wanted a chance to get to like talk to the chosen one, because I've been alone on this planet for a long time, and now I'm just gonna die here alone, watching like the memory of my people fade away on a planet that is just going to fold in on itself and decay. So to me, like seeing that moment of like that little moment where finally he gets to like actually like meet her, I did like, and I was like there. To me, that felt very Metroid Prime, where I was just like, that is Metroid Prime storytelling, and that it is simple, it's neat, and it is for me, it was more of like, it's the psychic part of it is this like ethereal, like soul like kind of thing. I think that was why there was a little poignance to putting a religious symbol on the tree. I apologize, I'm rambling, but there were parts of this I really enjoyed.
Like the idea I like, especially because it's an inversion of Prime 2, where you have I'm forgetting the name of that species. The
Luminoth.
The Luminoth. I was thinking of the Ing. You have the Luminoth saying, "Oh yeah, we've thrown our hands up. We're gonna lose," and like I really liked the combination of like the Metroid Prime 1 element of, you're exploring to see what happened with like this fork of the Chozo, or this fork of the your lost species. You have that with the Lamorn going on. You have the Prime 2 inversion of the Luminoth give up, and they just say, well, we can't do anything anymore. We've tried, we've lost, and Samus shows up to save the day. They're praying for someone to come and save the day, and I really appreciated that. Like, this has the DNA of the other Prime games. It's like, I don't know how much of that is fully intentional,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Prime 3 has the reptilian. What are they called? The reptilians. It's basically the same. They have the same arc as the Lamorn of like
That's fair.
All this crazy technology. Then some of us went berserk and turned into something different, and that is all in the scan data there.
Oh, we have been here, haven't we?
Fight them.
I haven't.
We have been here several times.
So that's the one I'm hazy on.
Yeah.
And I think that to me was almost shocking how much this is. It's the Chozo on Talon 4. It's the Luminoth, it's Luminoth, and it's I can't remember, they're the Reptilians or Reptilians. I don't remember what they're called on Brio. And I was like, is this it? Why? What if we were learning about an evil race that was terrible, and we were exploring their ruins, and like
that's kind of what I was hoping it was going to be.
Or like even what if it just wasn't that, or like I was saying earlier, like a destroyed Galactic Federation facility that literally was destroyed today. And there's so many other avenues. I don't know why Tanabe, who I'm ascribing this to solely, sorry Tanabe, is beholden to this idea when we've seen multiple times there's so many ways to do, quote unquote, do a Metroid that doesn't have to be this, but Prime really wants to always be this.
It's again, it's so reminiscent of how Halo stagnated over time that it's kind of scary. And to your point about like it'd be cool if we explored like the evil or an evil lost race. Again, like there was a moment like throughout a lot of this with Vuros that I'm like, again, the tree cum thing, like if they are becoming an invasive species on a different planet or on their old home planet, like there's something powerful about that's where I'm like, why is Samus then doing that? Why is Samus continuing the cycle? Like, do you really think they're going to learn? Because people don't learn.
I mean, that could be cool if that is what the payoff is by the third game of this trilogy of going, oh, whoops, I screwed this up.
And to your point earlier, though, I think this is self-contained. I don't believe this is the start of a new trilogy outside of thematically. I
think Silex, if anything, is going to be the connective tissue. I don't think we're going to see the Lamorne show up again.
Yeah,
I wish he was interesting.
Yeah, and like why? I get you had to give a payoff for Silex after 20 years if you're going to continue this with another saga, but you need to give a little bit more. You don't need to give it all. You need to give a cliffhanger. Yeah, it would suck to have a cliffhanger after 10 years of waiting for this game. But
he didn't need to be Samus's brother, but he needed to be more than a guy who's a little bit upset that
he felt like a holdover. He felt like a checklist item to me, where it was, we teased this at the end of Prime 3. Yep. We thought we had an idea for Prime 4 when we made Federation Force, so we teased it then. We have to commit now. Whatever other plans they had, be damned, they had to fit him in somehow, but they never decided to take his character any further.
I'm glad I'm not a writer for these games, because honestly, at a point, I would have been like, you know what? It's going to piss a lot of people off, but what if you just have him get murked at the start? Like, what if you have a bigger thing come in and take Silex out and say, you know what? Silex is gone. It would have, to me, with what we got, that would have been better, because it would have at least been funny.
How interesting would it have been? What's that thing at? What's that monster from Hunters?
Samus.
What's the what?
From Prime Hunters, the final boss.
The big pillar I know what you're talking about.
I forget its name.
Like final boss from Prime Hunters.
What if the
twist had a really funny name? Yeah, it was like Gonorrhea.
Gonorrhea.
Yeah.
What if Gonorrhea had infected Silex and it was just like its soul like traveling through Silex, using it as a puppet body? What if that had been the reveal? I mean, that would have been great, but it would have been something.
I would have been happy with that.
That would have just been Flood at that point. And honestly, I'd rather would have had Flood than the Grievers.
Oh, they tried to do the Flood, didn't they?
Like
the mines were really trying to do the Flood.
Mines were very Flood, but like I would have rather had it been like
they were. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. They were.
I did like the mechanic of like if you fire a missile, it's going to attract enemies.
Sure.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was a neat idea.
I did at one point when I was recording my review, I had to go back and re-record a thing because I said something about Retro Studios and I realized while editing that I called them 343.
It's uncanny.
You're not wrong.
It's
though.
Uncanny.
Yeah.
Like
I want to go to. I haven't done it. Maybe I want to go through Moby Games and see the
there's a few.
The crossover.
There's a good few, and that's my thing. If you're gonna make, I guess this is maybe not my closing thought, but one of my closing thoughts. If you're gonna make a Metroid Halo, then you gotta gut up and put multiplayer in again. Like you can't do, and that would have added so much to the development time of this game, obviously. But like you can't make Halo 4 campaign only. That's just ODST, but worse. Like, no, thank you.
I mean,
I want ODST at that point.
I think that was something that I really tried to explain to folks. As someone who is actually excited at the idea of Retro making this game, I went out of my way the last however many years, 7, 8, 9, 20 years, to tell people, like, the people who made Prime 1, a lot of them left after Prime 1. And a lot of those people, you know what they made? They made Recore. And they don't really make games like this at all anymore. The people that you want to make this game aren't making it. However, one of the things that really encouraged me was after Prime Remastered came out, they were very open with the fact that like we wanted to remember / teach people how to make a Metroid Prime game, so we remade Prime 1. And I played Prime 4, and at the end of it went, so what were the parts of it that you took?
What did you learn?
Because I'm not saying that it, again, I don't want to be prescriptive about Metroid. I think that we've seen so many different ways that this series can be. But I'm really confused as to, was it just the really cool like atmospheric fog effects?
It was the cool looking armor and how shiny
stuff?
it is.
Opening forest.
Right, Yeah, the
Yeah.
forest. Was it Kenji Yamamoto and Mina Kohamino had to remember like, oh, this is what Metroid sounds like.
It's so fascinating. Like I will eat my words in 14 years when Prime 5 comes out if that's where they learned from Prime 1. And this was just you know what?
Sure.
Got to throw our hands up, get it out. And that's at a point I get it. I understand. And I feel for the people that made this game because it clearly was not easy. The human element of this game shows throughout every aspect of the game because this is like 4 different pieces of a game put together. And I fully understand that's...
It's remarkable
it
how
reeks
polished
of too many
it
cooks
is.
in the kitchen.
Yeah. It does.
But we
And
wanted
too long. It just took forever.
but we at the same time it's just like I always feel bad about just like I get it, it's critique, it's part of our business, it's part of like how we work and everything to put this stuff on the firing range and just be like, hey, like let's pick this thing apart. But it's at the same time it's just like I don't want to throw creatives under the bus.
No.
Like
And there's a fine line where we still walk an empathetic path.
If there's anything that all 4 of us have
I
shown
still
throughout,
like this game.
Yeah. If there's anything that all 4 of us have shown throughout our content careers, for lack of a better term, there's an empathy for the creator. I made an hour-long video explaining Sakamoto in Other M and explaining how that game turned out that way because no one cared to actually look into it in a deeper capacity.
Yeah.
Like, all you had was shitting on it because big poopy game, and that's, that's fair. It is a big poopy game. But so are a lot of games. Like, why is that one locked in on from the 5 Metroid fans left?
Other M is the only Metroid review that I'm a little tempted to redo at some point. Because I feel like there's such a much more interesting discussion to have there than just Other M bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Got to give a shout out to Brandon Miracle in my Metroid documentary. He's the only person who was like, yeah, I will talk about Other M. And he said, you know what? The game's kind of weird, but they tried something, right? Mm-hmm. And bless him, every single comment, not every single one, 50% of the comments are just tearing into him for even deigning to say that there was maybe a generous charitable read to that game. But I think there is. I think that game has some cool moments. I think there's some cool like audio design in that game.
We should tag team on that because like I want to talk about the cool stuff in that
Maybe.
game. There's good stuff,
Yeah,
especially in the third
should.
act. Like I think that there's like some really cool Metroid stuff.
There's some really cool things that game does with its camera to establish scale that I just don't see people talk about. Like honestly, if you made a game that was like 50% of that, like 50% of Returnal, maybe sprinkle in a little Death Stranding, you actually might have a really cool my ideal Metroid might exist in that weird Venn diagram.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that just it just proves that there's a lot of really cool ideas out there, and as much as deep down maybe I want there to be Metroid Prime 1 again, maybe that's not what we want. And maybe we all need to open our hearts and realize that Returnal is actually the second best.
I mean, you're not too far off.
That's what I've heard.
I'll say this and then I'll go to closing thoughts. I don't want every Prime game to be a Prime 1. I'm glad each Prime game is the way that it is, probably with the exception of 4 to some extent, because the fact that I left disappointed even with very tempered expectations speaks to how frustrating the last bit of that game is to me kind of undo the bits of good memories I had of the early parts of that game where it does kind of work, or where it is not anachronistic for a Metroid game, because that's not the right word, but I can't think of the right word, where it feels antithetical to a Metroid game to have Samus do rock and roll bike lessons. But that's really funny. Like that's really funny. I'm okay with things being dumb for the sake of being funny, because that makes the serious moments hit more, even if it's something as self-serious as Metroid. because we've seen in this very game, Samus can nod her head and it's funny. We can see that they can kind of make fun of the fact that she's John Halo but quieter, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I want Prime 5 to be very different than this if it does exist and it does come out. And you know, I'm sure this will sell pretty okay. Even if it doesn't sell super hot, I'm sure it's going to sell probably better than Prime 3 and 2. And that's a good thing, I think. You know, it speaks to the audience that Nintendo has amassed over the last generation, especially, that, you know, that and Princess Peach Showtime can sell like 3 million copies. Like, they can make games that are experimental. I would like it to be better experimental than that. But I want Prime 5 to be different, and I want them to really show that Retro, after, again, 12 years of having made no new games, still has the sauce with a bunch of employees that weren't alive when Prime 1 came out. Because we're getting to that point. These series can evolve over generations. I'm a Ratchet & Clank guy. Ratchet & Clank evolves every console generation, and they find a way to do space opera and serious space game and horror space game and lonely space game. They do them in ways that are unique each time, even if there are things that old fans don't like. Metroid is rapidly hitting that point where there's so many different fan bases that within the series that no one knows what they want anymore because everyone wants something different. You can give us something we don't know we wanted. That's what Dread was to me. And you can give us something we didn't know we didn't want, which was Prime 4 to me. So that, I guess that's my wrap up. I'm going to go in a circle here. Wayne, what are your final thoughts?
I think Prime 4 is a troubled but entertaining game. I think it's interesting to talk about. And I think, if nothing else, it's kind of... it's interesting. I think it gets less things wrong than Other M. But I think that it almost has just as damaging a reputation. Time will tell on that one. And a lot of it is just the way that discussion about video games has changed since Other M came out. Yep. And I think Other M also painted a part of like the blanket statement way people look at games and just like immediately jump onto an extreme way of looking at it and what a game can or cannot do within a certain series, and people are starting to treat Metroid. I tried to say this at one point, but it's like we got to learn how to remember how to make like Metroid a series of games and not just an intellectual property, and treat it as something that can learn and grow within itself instead of having to try to constantly branch out and to latch onto as wide an audience reach as possible and learn from as many different types of genres as possible. I would like to try and see new things. Actually, after you've been talking about like the potential Metroid Beyond, where it's just something completely different from Prime, I keep thinking I kind of want them to try the Other M formula again, go for that sort of like three-dimensional exploration route.
A 3D, 2D Metroid would go really hard with the right direction.
With the right controller.
Yeah, that too. One Joy-Con only, though.
Oh, God, kill me now. If nothing else, getting Metroid Prime 4, getting to talk about it, especially with like-minded folk, it has reminded me why I love this franchise so much. And it doesn't matter what ways the series stumbles along the way, it always has something I love. And I will always be there, excited and ready for the next installment.
You did remind me of one thing I want to circle back to, because I forgot one final thought. How dare they make this $60? I know it's been 10 years, but if they had made this like a $50 game or $60 on next gen, we would have all eaten it up so much better. Like, sticker shock is real. And I think if you had just tempered expectations a little and not gone for pure profit, A, the game would have sold better. We don't know how it sold, but if it's cheaper, it will sell a little better. And B... Oh, it's only 50 instead of 70.
Plus an amiibo if you want to hear music in the desert.
Plus multiple amiibo. Plus the fact that it came out the same week as the $30 Pokemon DLC, which asks you to play the game less to do it. To play like that game wants you to play itself less, and that's fascinating. That's a different topic for a different day, but.
So am I missing something? The discussion around that damn amiibo got so convoluted. My understanding is that, because somebody posted a screenshot and they were just like, I beat the game and I got 100% and it says like, oh, unlocked more music tracks. which the amiibo, when you scan it, tells you will happen when you beat the game now that you've used the amiibo to unlock the radio. And they were like, this is proof that you don't need the amiibo to get the music for Viola. And I'm like, are you actually stupid? Do you not see the word more on the bottom of the screen? Like, am I crazy, or is that actually just blocked behind the amiibo?
So, well, I mean, I didn't see that specific screenshot, but I did see a lot of this discussion. Just to jump ahead a little bit before I give my final thoughts. The amiibo thing, Metroid Prime 4 as a game is fine. It's not it's pretty good. Metroid Prime 4 as a cultural object is exhausting. And I kind of hate it. And I think that the amiibo thing is a perfect example of this, because I have talked to multiple people in my Discord server, in my personal life, who emphatically believed, until I proved otherwise, that there were entirely extra, like, music that was unused in this game, that they held back, that they wrote music for the desert that they held back, that you can only listen to if you pay for the amiibo. And unless I have misunderstood and completely misread and misused my amiibo, that's not true. There's no extra track. You can just listen to Fury Green or the Volt Force stuff while you're riding on your Viola in the desert. There's no, like, secret bonus thing that was supposed to be there that greedy Nintendo said, no, hold it back because we're going to make them pay an extra $30 for it. So I don't know. I think that there's rightly and wrongly, there's a level of frustration with some of Nintendo in the Switch 2 era, and there is a cottage industry of rage baiting channels and posters and everything that is feeding into this, that makes talking about things like Metroid Prime 4 or Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza insufferable.
It would help if Nintendo could learn how to communicate stuff at all.
That was going to be the first thing I said.
They're not innocent in it at all. At all. It's a trying to navigate it for the average person is impossible.
And I think the more egregious one is the Silex amiibo to me, because it gives you the 100% ending that I think would have actually been better seen not at 100%. Like,
it should have been right before the final boss.
I would argue that should have been like right after the first part of the game. Like, I think it'd be weird to give the motivations away that early. I understand, but if the motivations are that shitty, get it out of the way. Don't make it the thing that you get for doing everything, because that's a spit in the face.
At the very least,
like, we know that he's a bad guy. So.
It's like, at the very least, like, because Trev, like you were saying, like, you get it goes right into that scene with him, like, looking at his hands in the tank before he fights you.
Like,
so
it really felt like maybe their idea at one point was you get 100%, and then that cutscene plays instead of the one that you get where it's just brief flashes right before he shows up. That's what it felt like they were trying to imply. But then you get 100%, and that's not the case.
It's just so silly that, like, that last part with him just, like, raging while looking at his hands in the tank makes it look like they're trying to treat him like some sort of tortured soul when he's just...
I liked how close his arms were together, because it made it seem like he was, like, maybe, like, pushing his pecs together.
I do like it's sorry, I'll stop hijacking this, but, like, I think part of the reason why I like connecting him to the Lamorne and everything is that technically you could still do that. There's nothing in this game that contradicts that there could still be some sort of connection there that could make this deeper. Maybe him wanting that weapon was connected to him trying to save the Lamorne.
I think that
like, you could still do something with it.
What if the Lamorne play a message that's like, you're our chosen one, to anyone who shows up?
I think
that's so messed up.
That's like when I go into Wendy's. I think
what?
I think, to me, if they spend any part of Prime 5 trying to apologize for Prime 4 besides just saying we're sorry, that's a mistake. I think you move on and you do what the other Prime games did, where you find out in Prime just Prime 3, not Prime 2. I think you find out in Prime 3, oh, the wildlife on Talon 4 is recovering, and you find out in Prime 3, oh, the Luminoth are doing okay now. They're part of the Federation, kind of. Stuff like that, that's fine. If you find out that Treecom works and that the Lemorn are back and they're, there's like little baby Lemorn, whatever, cool. Do that in like Prime 6 if we get there. But if you spend more than a tiny amount of time from Prime 5, assuming that does happen at this point, talking about Prime 4, I think you are like you got to kind of do a Halo 5 where they barely acknowledge a lot of Halo 4. Like they do, there's the Cortana stuff. But if you really look at it,
they just need to do Halo 5.
Yeah, if they do Halo 5 where you play as Silex for half the game and the marketing is all about them being against each other, but they're on the same team because there's a bigger bad, and then they stop talking about that ever, and then they make a Metroid Prime Wars game.
Metroid Infinite.
They make a Metroid Prime Wars game where it's an RTS where you play as the Federation, and then the main villains from that game come back in Metroid Prime Infinite.
And then you're still fighting the Banished for some reason.
Yeah.
They were going to make one of those at one point.
Metroid Prime.
I can't wait for.
They were making a Metroid like XCOM
Republic
game.
Commando.
Oh, there you go.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there was a Did You Know Gaming video about it, but there were plans.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything you said, Wayne. What are you saying?
Oh, sorry. There were plans. I don't think it got very far past like the conceptual phase, but there were ideas for like an XCOM style game, but like in the Metroid Prime universe.
If you want to tell a Federation story, that's how you do it. You separate it from Samus. If you want it that bad, do it. You could do it.
That's like Federation Force was actually a pretty solid one. I thought that the way that they played around with their place in the universe and how they dealt with space pirates and everything was actually kind of fun.
I think
my problem with it is that they did involve Samus with it at the end.
I think perception is reality with that.
Yeah,
game,
in a very silly way too.
That was like
ball.
the weakest era of Nintendo that we may ever see, and to reveal that game at that time that way was insane.
What were they thinking?
And didn't they do? Am I misremembering? But didn't they also then? They showed that during the direct, and then at the treehouse after it,
You're thinking of Prime
Samus,
4.
Yeah, that was a different year.
Okay.
That was a different year.
Yeah, you're thinking of the reveal of Prime 4, and then like later
Then
that
we got
afternoon,
Samus
they were like
Returns
Samus
during the
Returns.
Treehouse, Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which at least that was like, oh, the Switch is up next, the 3DS is the past. That's something, at least. I understood that. To me, it was more like the reveal of Federation Force as it was with that trailer, and then saying, by the way, here is multiplayer Blast Ball. Like that, again, that's been litigated so much. That was insane. That was, you also called it a Prime game. That was insane. Like you call that Federation Force a Metroid story or something like that. I don't care how you do it. Yeah. Anyway, Trav, what are your wrap-up thoughts about Prime 4 and this long, wonderful discussion we have had?
I've been thinking hard on this. A lot of my optimism about the game and about a future trilogy, about having the story be more set up than anything, is a lot of like hope and a lot of like getting just really excited about what could possibly be. And you know what used to excite me in a similar way,
Wendy's,
that doesn't hit anymore?
Wendy's.
It's like Marvel movies. Is that the way I want Metroid going? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think you're alone in like wish casting. I don't want to use to your point, Brendan, about the rage bait. I don't want to use the term cope, but there is a lot of wish casting of Prime 5 through the guise of, well, if they see we don't like Prime 4, Nintendo surely will listen to us and not make Prime 5, as if that's ever affected what they want to do.
Yeah.
If Prime 5 is going to happen, it's going to happen no matter what this game gets received as.
In terms of business decisions and all that, it seems pretty obvious that they want this to be the start of a new story.
I would not be surprised.
Social media and all that. I think that is... I think that to say that they're not alluding to it being the start of a new story, even if it's not a new trilogy, that's just... I don't think that's correct. But anyway...
would not be surprised if Prime 5 is already somewhat in development.
There were some rumors.
I'm sure it absolutely is. My thought is, the reason I said earlier, I said in passing that I don't think that it's going to work, is that I think that they're absolutely going to go back to the drawing board after seeing a lot of responses to Prime 4. I think that they're still probably going to make it, but they're definitely going to be mixing it up if they were thinking that this is going to be this huge hit that everyone's going to love. Like they need to be humbled, and they need to, figure some stuff out. Anyway, that said, I'd still give it like a 7, maybe 8 out of 10. I still really love the game. I think that, having different colored bikes behind amiibo is cringe. I think they made a lot of weird decisions. I really like tapping the Silux amiibo and have him going like, "I hate you, Samus." I thought that was really cool. I liked that.
That was more story than the game.
It was like whenever I needed a little pick me up, I'd always just tap that, and I'd be like, "Oh, thank you. I needed to hear that, buddy."
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I still really like the game. I have a lot of hope for where they go, but it could be cope. I don't know. If it doesn't go anywhere, then I'll have much less favorable things to say about it as time goes on.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then I'm not even going at you when I say wish casting. I think just a lot of people that were hyper positive about Prime 4 are doing it out of the hope or the concern that Nintendo listens to us.
I think that to dismiss a lot of the criticisms of the game, to go like, oh, but think about what they're doing next.
Yeah.
I think that's absurd.
Yeah, too many people, and I say this knowing who we all are, too many people really want to be business people in the games industry when they're talking about the games they like, and that's...
I had this behind my chair this whole time, and I didn't even freaking remember, dude.
Yo,
I could have had the Samus name tag on this whole time.
I'm not wearing my Samus shirt where she dunks on Ridley. I should have worn that.
That's a pretty good one.
Brendan, what are your wrap-up thoughts on Prime 4?
Well, I mean, I know this was a very critical thing, and I think like some of my conversations with my friends lately have been leaning more critical. But I think I would agree with what Trav said, and it's like a 7. I like this game. I don't want to defend the game either. I don't think this game is neither good enough nor bad enough to warrant the level of protracted discourse that it has earned. Mm-hmm. And I think that in 6 months, I don't think we're going to be talking about this game as if it was the worst thing in the world. I don't know if we'll be talking about this game very much at all. I think it'll be like, when we start talking about if there's a Prime 5 or even if there's a Metroid 6 and going, oh yeah, that's right. Well, we'll see what they do next. I think though, for where I am with this game, I kind of, at the end of my little, I don't want to say I called it a meditation. It's not really a review. It's a meditation about this. I posed the question to myself of like, is the reason that I love the moments in this game, like being at the base of the Great Mines and looking up and it looks so cool, and being in Fury Green and seeing the little ant critters walking along the logs, and walking into the cargo hold platform and the mist dissipates, and every single time it does that, and it looks so cool, and those skyboxes are so good, and wondering if maybe the reason those moments landed so hard was because they were put up against moments that I didn't like as well, and that didn't feel quote unquote like Metroid. And I think that to me is the biggest like metaphor for what this game is. I think is this a bunch of really cool Metroid moments, maybe some like top end class Metroid moments, against a bunch of stuff that doesn't quite work. And that makes for a game that right now is really hard to talk about, especially where there's a lot of folks out there who they haven't even played this game and are really committed to it being like this big downfall for Nintendo. It was never going to be that. It was only ever going to be the 4th Metroid Prime game. It wasn't going to be more or less than that. And I think that will make for, in years and even decades down the line, a really interesting game to talk about and to look back on. And right now it's just weird.
Yeah, I think like you said, 7 out of 10s are more interesting to talk about than 10 out of 10s a lot of the time. Thankfully, Metroid's had
they have more longevity in the YouTube algorithm.
Thankfully, Metroid's had a couple of those, so there's been a lot of interesting things to talk about. I think I agree with everything you said. I think when I say history won't be kind to it, I don't think it's going to be like people being mean to it. I think it's just going to be this game that a lot of people are in my opinion, maybe over exaggerating their hype to feel better about the things they don't like. You know, that's just maybe me reading into it. But like, you know, we've all done that. We've all coped a game into being better than we thought it was.
Sure.
I
think if I was gonna say one last thing though, and it's just about Metroid in general, and it's something that kind of Wayne was alluding to, and I think, you know, because I share a lot of the same thoughts as Wayne does on the genre or on the series overall, and this feeling of like it's okay to just let Metroid be Metroid. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be these other things. Maybe it could be, and I'm interested in them doing that in a successful way, and I'm open to it. But I also am okay with it being Metroid, and if that means that this is the last new Metroid game that we ever get, there's a part of me that's okay with that, because for a really long time, up until like 5 years ago, that was really it. You know, I guess Samus Returns, so I guess 6 or 7 years ago. But the reason I go back to Metroid isn't because of the promise of what could happen. It's because these games are so replayable. They're so much fun. Going back to these planets and these worlds, there's something new there every time. And I am excited to see, inevitably in the future, when I go back to Vuros, what new weird things it reveals to me. Even if it's just, you know, more little bugs walking around on logs or something, not some big gameplay revelation. I'm excited for that moment.
Yeah. And I guess I know we've already had all closing thoughts. I'll say, like you said, this was maybe a little more critical than I think any of us were prepared to get into over the course of this discussion. But that's also what we all kind of do. I don't want to speak for you as much, Brendan, but like we all say, I love this game. Here's all the reasons it's annoying. Like that's just, you know, that's what we do in talking about the things we love. We dunk on them like they're our friends. So that's what this game kind of is. But it is probably the most beautiful Nintendo game so far. So to their credit, they got one thing. They nailed that one thing.
They sold me on 120 FPS.
Yeah, that's an insane thing to have on a Nintendo
smooth
game
as hell.
Still.
Yeah, I played this on my Switch 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
It still runs at 60 on that, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It still ran at 60 all the way through. I think the resolution dipped to like 900p sometimes. But, you know, for the most part, it was still a 1080 experience.
Yeah. Like this is from what you had said to me and what we've all seen, it's a very optimized experience, which is way more than I think I expected out of any of the cross-gen games.
Yeah.
Just because maybe I'm Scarlet and Violet pilled. I didn't expect any of the cross-gen experiences to be optimized for past gen.
Well, to be fair, this is after we got Prime remastered, and that game's a feat.
That's fair. That game is gorgeous. But. Yeah. Any other final thoughts that we didn't hit on that popped up in the time that we've had the 35 minutes of final thoughts?
No matter what happens, this franchise is not allowed to die before I get another Metroid Prime pinball.
You know, that's the worst thing.
This time you get a Silux ball.
I don't think I've ever heard a thing from you that's worse than that.
Metroid Prime pinball.
I'm with you, Wayne.
Let us know what you think.
It's pretty wizard,
dear viewer
as the
or
kids
dear
would say.
listener.
Stop making that a thing.
In the comments and the reviews on the podcast realm. In the show notes, you will find links to both Brendan's channel and Wayne's channel. Check them both out. They have wonderful. I'm going to use your word, Brendan, because I really like the term meditations on a lot of these games. I'm going to steal that at some point. Because when I saw your post on that initially, I was like, oh, I got to start stealing that because that's better than whatever the hell I say half the time. So check them out. They have wonderful stuff that I think you would really enjoy if you enjoyed stuff like this. And for Crub, we still don't have an outro.